everyone, it's Tony O'Kane here, and yes, there is a new BRZ on the scene. But before you ask, no, there's not a single turbocharger in sight with this new car, but there are a lot of other cool new features about the new BRZ that you will probably want to know about, because this is more than just a case of a pretty new face stretched over an old skeleton. Here we go, here's all the juicy details that you should know about the 2021 Subaru BRZ. The first thing you'll notice about the new BRZ is the fact that it looks quite different to the old one. Even though it rides on the same platform as the old car, every single panel on the outside of the car has been changed, including the roof. And speaking of that roof, it's now made of lightweight aluminium rather than steel as in the old car. And it's the same deal with the front quarter panels, they're alloy too. The bonnet is aluminium, but it was the same deal in the previous car, so that's, there's no real big weight advantage there. But the combination of the new lightweight materials does help offset some weight gains in other areas of the car, such as the engine. And the engine is another part of this new BRZ, or BRZ if you're an American, that is significantly different from the old car, because the 2-litre naturally aspirated engine has been replaced by a 2.4, also naturally aspirated. Yes, I know, everyone wants a turbocharger in this car, we all think it would be a lot of fun, but it's not gonna happen. It's gonna stay Atmo, but at least we have, 20% more cubic capacity to play with. That's pretty significant. Now power goes up to 170 kilowatts and torque rises to 250 Newton meters, which is a pretty handy increase over the numbers of the current car. One thing that I also hope will change is the removal of that awful torque hole that's right in the middle of the rev range of the current model's 2-litre flat 4. If you've ever driven either a Toyota 86, FT86, whatever it's called in your part of the world, or a Subaru BRZ, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. It is so frustrating having to deal with that torque hole. Hopefully it's gone with the move to the new FA24 engine. Now yes, I know that some of you will probably going to go into the comments section and say, but Tony, the FA24 is available with a turbocharger in some Subaru models. Yeah, that's true, but it's not as simple as just dropping that motor into the new BRZ and hoping for the best. The issue there is that the turbocharger on those models is mounted below the engine, and there's just no way to package it in something as compact as a BRZ. There is no space in that engine bay to actually accommodate it. The engine in a BRZ is much further towards the firewall than it is in other Subaru models. Henceforth, there is much less room for a turbo. And also, engineering that engine to have the turbo in a different spot is obviously going to be a really expensive exercise. And like I've said in other videos, the economics of sports cars are such that you either need to sell a heap of them to make money on them, or sell them at a very inflated price. And the more you can keep costs down, the more profitable that line is going to be. And something that really eats into profit is making model-specific manifolds just so you can bolt a turbo on. So we'll see how the 2.4 goes when it arrives. I think it'll still be good because there is an improvement to power to weight. Weight, by the way, I think increases a little bit, but not by much. The curb weight of low-spec models will be 1,277 kilograms, slightly more for models with big wheels and a bit more equipment. But yeah, it's still going to be a lightweight car, and now it's got a little bit more grunt, so things are moving in the right direction. Other things that have moved in the right direction, it's now longer. The wheelbase is, I think, 5 millimeters longer as well. Overall length is up by, I think it's like 23 millimeters. And height has come down by 10 millimeters. Small changes, but they do result in a car that looks a little bit more sporty, less upright, less stumpy. The transmissions, you'll still have a 6-speed manual or 6-speed automatic. Drive obviously is going to go to the back wheels. On the BRZ, a LSD will be standard equipment. Can't speak for the Toyota equivalent of this car because we've yet to see it. I believe that'll be revealed in the coming months. However, expect the mechanical specification of the next 86 to largely mirror that of the BRZ. Oh, and speaking of drivetrains, there's another safety-related change. Subaru will package in the EyeSight safety system into the new BRZ, but only on automatic models. They can't make it work with the manual. So yeah, that's a little bit a bit odd, but if you choose the automatic, then you get an extra layer of safety. Important to mention. Now on the inside, the changes are mostly limited to a new dashboard design and a new center console. You'll probably notice in the corner of one of these images that there is actually a lid on the center console box now. It's actually enclosed. So those of you who hated the open design of the first generation BRZ, your criticisms have been heard, your prayers have been answered. There's now a lid there. The rest of the dashboard looks pretty attractive. There's an 8-inch infotainment display sitting above some very familiar looking ventilation controls. There's a new 7-inch DigiDash as well, which is kind of cool. Replaces the old steam gauges and reconfigures depending on what drive mode you're in. So if you're in track mode, you get this bar chart tachometer. If you're in another mode, you get a conventional looking analog clock, so on and so forth. Kind of cool. Subaru isn't talking performance numbers for this car, but as you're probably familiar with by now, this is not a car that's really about straight line speed, winning drag races or anything like that. It's all about the joy of driving. And it'll be interesting to see if there is any difference in dynamics for the new BRZ, given it's got a new engine up front and it's an engine that weighs a little bit more than the old one. However, the dynamics do get helped out a little bit by the fact that there's a more rigid body frame. Subaru says that they learned a lot of lessons about developing the Subaru Global Platform, or SGP, that's in the new Impreza, Forester, and a couple of other Subaru models. However, that platform hasn't been used in a new BRZ. It's still on the old car's platform, which is itself a derivative of, I think, a Liberty, the Liberty from 2 generations ago, otherwise known as a Legacy in other parts of the world. It's pretty old architecture, but it does work for the car, and they've enhanced it with new methods of construction, specifically structural adhesives. They've improved torsional rigidity by a fair bit, and that should make for a better handling car. Now we will find out just how much better it handles sometime next year. We're looking at the third quarter of 2021 for an Australian market debut. It will probably arrive in Japan and the United States maybe a little bit ahead of that, but it's definitely a 2021 car. There's a little bit of time before this thing starts arriving in showrooms, but do look forward to it. It's good to see that Subaru have stuck with the BRZ for a second generation, because affordable sports cars are what make the world a little bit nicer to live in. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.